Now, there's a popular event that happens every so often in the world, and it's called Davos. And it was in the headlines for more notable reasons, because Davos, the whole thing is not getting good press at the moment, and it hasn't been for a couple of years. But why was it quite notable in technology circles, Rick?
Yeah. So in addition to all of the normal kind of headlines about all the world leaders flying their private planes to this fantastic place in Switzerland, which I have actually been to and spoken at Davos, and it's a quite awesome place, but it is in the middle of nowhere, so it's a trip to get there. But it got the headlines because the new president of Argentina, a guy called Javier Milei, gave a speech. Milei. Gave a speech in Spanish to the audience at the conference. However, there was a piece of AI from a company called HeyGen that did a real-time translation of the speech into English and French and Arabic and Mandarin.
Wasn't it remarkable?
Yeah, and the thing with the AI was, so if you think normally when somebody gives a speech in a particular language, you've got a bunch of people in the background who are doing real-time translation, and they will speak into...
little earpiece in, and
people that have earpieces or headphones, and they'll have someone... So you might get a man speaking and a woman translating, or the other way around. But the set point is that the translation will be someone completely different that doesn't even sound like or have the same intonation or anything like the person speaking. Now, the thing with this one is that the AI essentially took the speech, translated it, lip-synced his mouth, and when you were watching it near real time, there's obviously a small delay, it looked like it was genuinely him speaking in English or French.
In his own voice as well.
But in his own voice, with his own mannerisms, and his voice and his mouth changed. And it was, I think this is seen really as the first time this has kind of been done. And there are some issues we're going to come on to. But
right. But before we do that, can I just ask, was anyone else involved, or was it just Javier Milei's speech? Did they do it for anyone else?
I've not seen it done.
No,
I've not seen it reported on anybody else. And
so
I don't
is
know
this a test that you know about?
Well, I don't know why they picked him, other than he has form when it comes to using AI.
Right.
For
so
political
he just said
campaigning.
Yes, perhaps. He just said, go on, I'll do it. Is that what he did? Perhaps.
I don't know. Actually, it's a good question. I don't know whether he knew it was being done to him, or whether it was probably because he was... You'd imagine that most of the people speaking would speak in English, even though it's an international, global crowd. You'd think the majority of them would revert to English, but he spoke in Spanish.
All right. Well, we'll go on then. So is this easily done?
It is very easy done. And so for the benefit of our listeners and our watchers on Patreon and on YouTube, I went and tested it. Ooh. So I've made an example. So what I did was I set up an account for free, right? So I've not spent any money. It didn't take me very long. I set up an account, and you record a little video into the HeyGen platform, like 30 seconds, just talking. There's some instructions, but you have to talk slow and have little pauses between the sentence. But you could say any old nonsense. It doesn't have to, you're not going to use it.
Well, you're used to that. We do it every episode.
I'm used to that. So you do about 45 seconds. It processes, and then it basically creates a little avatar. So what it comes back with, it created a video saying, "Hi Rick, I'm your avatar." It generated this itself. So it's basically created me, my sound, my mannerisms.
Well, don't describe it. Don't describe it too much. Shall we play it?
Mi nombre es Rick Hockstep y cada 2 semanas me conecto en línea con mi amigo Shaun Weston para grabar el podcast Big Tech Little Tech y divertirme hablando sobre lo que está sucediendo en tecnología.
Isn't that great?
What do you think to that then?
Well, I think it's amazing that somehow you managed to only talk for 13 seconds.
Yeah. Well, bear in mind that there's a cap, because I've got the free. It wasn't going to rabbit on forever.
It was
but
amazing.
what I particularly noticed about the video,
that was seriously impressive. I mean,
it's worth watching it again because you kind of miss it first time. But one of the things with learning to speak Spanish, which is, one of the things I'm preoccupied with doing, is that rolling your R's is very difficult for me because I just don't know how to do it. And my lips, you see lots of tongue movement in the video. So it's not just the audio, because communication is so much around the visual. It also has adjusted my mouth accordingly. So the kind of the picture you see is of when I uploaded my avatar, but the rest of it is all AI generated. I didn't do anything. I've not edited it. Now, Shaun, what I was just saying is that I made one for you. So that was me speaking Spanish. Yeah. Thanks to the wonders of artificial intelligence, and because I love Spain, obviously, and you love Japan, I did one of me saying exactly the same things in Japanese.
All right. Okay. Let's see if I can play this one for the viewers. All right, here we go.
私の名前はリック・ハックステップです。2週間ごとに友人のショーン・ウェストンとオンラインでビッグテック・リトルテック・ポッドキャストを録画し、テクノロジーの世界で何が起こっているかについて楽しく話しています。
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
There's about 40 languages.
Is that right?
You could do French, German, Italian, American, Brazil. You could do all sorts.
Now,
Australian.
We've been here before. Many episodes ago, I remember asking you about. I think we were talking about the little lapel technology, and I've forgotten what it's called. And it was
the humane
AI, and it was about being able to speak in someone else's language, very Star Trek-like. And you rightly said, but that takes away from learning the language and everything. How do you feel now?
Well, I think there's two sides to that. So it doesn't solve my need to want to speak Spanish, because I want to be able to communicate in Spanish with Spanish people, and so I don't feel that it's taken anything away. But in this circumstance where you've got somebody who's speaking to a much broader audience, then it suddenly means it's more accessible. So this guy, he was making points, and we can debate them, but I wouldn't have understood them because I don't speak Spanish well enough to have been able to engage with him. Whereas this would have meant that all of a sudden his point of view, whatever language he was in, and Spanish is, as popular globally, as English would be or Mandarin would be. But, if it was something with a much smaller, let's say Finnish, for example, then all of a sudden the people that would understand his point of view would be much limited. And now you're suddenly opening it up where potentially everybody in the world has a chance of understanding someone.
Yeah.
So I think that's the purpose, rather than it being you and I just carrying around a phone and we speak in English and out comes Spanish. I don't think it solves that. And besides, it actually it's too expensive to. It would cost, like if we tried to do this podcast and translate it all, it would be prohibitively expensive at this point. There's so much effort.
Yeah. Well, I did like, as good as it is, I will finish this segment, by the way, with a line from a publication, a British publication, that said he sounds a bit like a Bangladeshi guy after a decade in Swansea.
Yeah, that's true, he did.
Open